Good morning. This is the show. More folks are tuning in live on our AM and FM network of news talk stations, including new FM signals on the Seacoast as well up in the Lakes region. But before we get to all that, good morning. It is Tuesday, and Jonathan Savage with Fox. I think, Jonathan, the other key point is I think a big part of this trip with China is going to be trying to get China to put the pressure on the hardliners or whoever's left in Iran to agree to end this thing. But we'll see. They want their oil. The Islamic State probably wants their money. But what do I know? Hey, Alexa. Hey, Google Worldwide. Play the Pulse of an H. And our poll question, J-Dog, up on the at the Pulse of an H on X, has to do with the federal gas tax. You just heard about inflation. I'm going to come back to that a lot this morning. Gas prices up. Do you think the president or the administration will move to temporarily suspend the federal gas tax? I think it's about 18 cents a gallon, and New Hampshire right now showing no signs that they're going to temporarily suspend the state gas tax. It's about 23 point something cents, or just under 24 cents a gallon. That poll question's up on X. And J-Dog, before we go to Paul Steinhauser, is Steiny on?
Hold on.
Okay.
Poll question from yesterday.
Go ahead.
Results.
Yep.
Are you worried about the hantavirus? 100% saying no.
Interesting. All right. I guess two people from New Hampshire you had heard Mike Pop talk about that on that cruise. J-Dog, is Steiny with us? Okay. I didn't see the call. J-Dog does a call like the third base coach. Paul Steinhauser reports nationally for Fox News Digital. Some primaries today, I think West Virginia and Nebraska. Good morning, Steiny, as we look towards the midterms.
Yeah, absolutely, Jack. This is primary season right now. We got a ton of states in May and June holding primaries today, as you just mentioned, West Virginia and Nebraska. Nebraska could have a very competitive U.S. Senate race, one of a handful that could decide whether the Republicans keep control of the chamber in November. Of course, New Hampshire, we got a pretty big blockbuster Senate race here as well. Hey, talking about primaries, Jack, we have the first in the nation presidential primary. Our state primary, though, not till September, but that's going to change starting in 2028. Governor Ayotte last Friday signing a bill into law that will move that primary. There's been a push for this for quite some time. Starting in 2028, it'll be the second Tuesday in June. So something to look forward to, not this year, in 2028. Jack, one other mention, in the redistricting wars, we've seen this battle flare across the country. Two more Republican states, South Carolina and Alabama today, moving forward with redrawing their maps to help Republicans in this big bruising battle for the U.S. House. Jack?
Yeah, interesting, Paul. You cover these primaries in the nationally for Fox. Paul Steinhauser. Good morning, New Hampshire, the Pulse of an Age. But are you hearing in D.C. or when you go around, are any of the mucky mucks or the powers to be on the Republican side or Democrat side talking about the U.S. Senate race here in New Hampshire, or is it kind of quiet?
It's been kind of quiet because obviously our primary is so late and there's so many other races grabbing attention right now. That will change because everybody realizes that New Hampshire's Senate race is going to be one of those top 10 that decides the chamber. So, yeah, right now, not a lot of talk, but that will definitely change, Jack, as we get closer to our September primary. And I promise you, in August, September, October, right into the November election, you're going to be flooded. We are going to be right in the spotlight.
But let me answer this. When Maggie Hassan, whether it was I'm not sure which term, but in some of these past open Senate races when they first ran, didn't they start earlier than this? Weren't they already throwing verbal bombs back and forth in the primaries or does it just seem like things are starting late here?
Yeah, no, you're right. It does seem like things are starting a little late here this time around compared to past, but that's because we still have primaries. Listen, we got Sununu and we got Scott Brown on the Republican side, and even Pappas has a primary challenger from the left in the Democratic primary. Right. So I think once we get through all that, come August, September, October, you're going to see plenty of action.
Well, it's a U.S. Senate race, though. Sometimes they start a full year ahead of time. I mean, running for the U.S. Senate today in an open seat is bigger than governor. It's like almost running for president. Usually it seems like they're a year out. All right. Thank you, Paul.
Have a great one, Jack.
Big money, too. Out of state, mostly. All right. Thank you, Paul. Before we move on here, President President Trump on his way to China today, this afternoon. John Decker, our own White House correspondent, we'll be getting some updates. He's traveling with the president. Our own White House correspondent, John Decker, is on the way, whether they've gone already today or this afternoon or midday to China. And we'll hear from Mr. Decker. Quite a trip. But, I'm going to just be very candid here in some commentary. And this is just me being very candid. And maybe I'm just sort of a mirror to what many of you are feeling out there. And that is, I appreciate the ability to do a lot of things at once. One of my kids in education, I don't know if it's multitasking, some kind of attention deficit thing that I definitely have, but I can focus on 4 or 5 things and do a show. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but the point is President Trump, I mean, I got to tell you, I'm looking at these inflationary numbers. 3.8%. That's my UVM math would tell me that's pretty close to 4. I'd like it down around 2 something. Probably you would too. So would the Fed. 6.6% increase last month, probably all due to higher oil and gas problems or prices because of the war with Iran. Gas is going up. That affects food prices. I mean, I could go on. And we got to get this stuff down here at home. These prices are starting to hurt. Let me repeat that. These prices are starting to hurt a lot of hardworking people. And it's going to start to take its toll pretty quickly. And I'm just pointing this out. Now, it may turn pretty quickly as well. I'm not talking about the stock market. I'm not talking about, President Trump in China gets word from the Chinese leader that they're going to work with Iran to straighten out and open up the Strait of Hormuz and end the war. Markets shoot up today. Price of oil comes down a little bit. I get news for you. At this point, and I don't mean to be a pessimist on a nice sunny Tuesday, and welcome to the show here. And I mean that. It's nice out there, and hopefully, probably more than the back half of the week. So enjoy today weather-wise. But I got to tell you, the price of oil and gas or gas at the pump never comes down as quickly as it goes up. It's like taxes and interest rates. They go up real fast, and it takes weeks or months to come down. So we're looking at, what did Mike Pomp say this morning? 440 something is the price of gas. And better come down fast because it affects a lot of things, not just what you put in your rig to run. And I'm keeping an eye on inflation. And the other thing is, I think a lot of people imagine doing a show every morning trying to keep up with this. I think a lot of people out there, one thing President Trump's really good at is the art of distraction. It's amazing. Now, I don't know why we released the UFO alien stuff the other day, but it's the art of distraction. Remember the talk about Greenland? We need to annex. We need to take Greenland. We need to buy Greenland. Had everyone talking about that for about, including the Danish prime minister and everyone. We needed Greenland. And that was about 6 weeks, about a month of distraction. Cuba, started talking about Cuba a while ago. What a mess Cuba is. Yeah, it is. Venezuela, pretty good operation there. Successful, check mark. Venezuela. And now the war with Iran. And I don't know if we know how to get out of it. And I'm looking at inflation go up in oil and gas. So I'm just hoping for a turn of the tides here because this stuff is like the ocean and the tides. And right now, if you want all boats to lift here at home, you got to start driving prices down, not up. And, it's going to slow down the economy. And I'm already starting to see it. So I would like prices to come down. I'd like that core inflation number to come down to about 2.6% from almost 4% right now. I'd like gas to get back to, 375 is going to feel like a bargain, but not many weeks ago, it was $2.65 a gallon. Hey, Alexa, hey, Google, play the Pulse of an Age. Tomorrow, we have a big day here. We're asking an awful lot of our military. And remember, our military does not set policy. They just serve. And too often, it's the same families who serve and veterans. And we are going to go 12 hours tomorrow, Wednesday, 12 hours for our veterans here at home. It's my 12th annual Make 12 Hours Count for Veterans Count. Vetscount.org. Vetscount.org. You can start donating today. It's part of Easter Seals. And tomorrow we're going to give you the numbers. We're going to raise awareness, advocacy, and funds for Veterans Count. Vetscount.org. 12 hours tomorrow. Join us. Governor Ayotte's officially going to proclaim tomorrow in New Hampshire Veterans Count Day. And we here at the Pulse of an Age, we're going to be in full throw starting at 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., commercial-free, 12 hours for our veterans. We thank our friends at FedPoint, Coca-Cola of the Northeast to underwrite the day, Eastern Propane and Oil to name a few, Great Bay Spa and Sauna, Eversource, Triumph Home Services, Northeast Delta Dental, Jazzmore Roofing and Contracting, Sear Lumber and Home Center. Really, thank you all. Abundant Life Stoves and Spas, thank you all. Hey, Alexa, hey, Google, play the Pulse on Age. Come back. We'll see what Dean Spiliotis, one of our political analysts and All-Stars, thinks about a big trip to China. Back in a moment.
Registration is now open.
Jack Heath on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
All right, I'm not going to try and start at any one starting point, but Dean Spiliotis, Southern New Hampshire University, great partner and sponsor, SNHU, Penman Pride out there, but he's a political science professor, one of our political academic all-stars. And good morning, Dean.
Hey, good morning, Jack.
I guess we could just do the whole segment on the trip to China because the stakes are very, very high. And not about all the other stuff, not about the CEOs going, not about the other stuff we can talk about, really about the war with Iran. And I don't know where it goes over the next few days, but I know it's a very important meeting. And I'm hoping for good results because China maybe the only power out there that can tell the remaining decision makers in Iran what to do financially. But beyond that, we'll come back to other stuff, I guess. So let's talk about how important and potentially significant, or I don't want to use the word gigantic, this trip to China will be. It's a big deal.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely a very big deal. It's actually the first time that President Trump has been in China, I think, in 10 years. I mean, he's had other meetings with President Xi, but this is the first time he's actually been to China, I think, in a decade. So it's a major visit. He was supposed to go last month, but postponed it because of the war. I think he had hoped to have the war with Iran wrapped up by now. Obviously, that's not the case. He's in a very difficult spot at the moment. We're all waiting to see what's going to happen. And I think the balancing act for President Trump in China is to, he doesn't want to seem weak. He doesn't want to seem like we're depending on China to get us out of the situation in Iran. But at the same time, I think it's going to be front and center. And I think, everyone's aware that China can exert influence on Iran. They get a tremendous amount of their oil from the Middle East and from Iran. So it's very important to them. And all of this is kind of in the backdrop of a longer term, trade war that has sort of been hot and cold. And we had to
remember all the tariff stuff, right?
Yeah. And so they met in Seoul, Korea last year, and they declared a little bit of a truce. Remember, tariffs were up over 145% at one point. So there's that whole kind of trade issue around technology and AI and chips and rare earths and minerals, all the kinds of things that we've had long, intellectual property, all that kind of stuff is sort of the backdrop for this, which is why you have all the CEOs going along. And I'm sure President Trump, he likes to come back from these kinds of summits with some kind of a deal, even if it never eventually pans out. They're going to invest X billions of dollars in different industries. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes you just never hear about it again. So yeah. And then Taiwan is the other big issue for them. And so we got technology and tariffs, we got Iran, and we got Taiwan. Those are kind of the big three, I think, legs of the summit stool, so to speak.
Good overview, Dean Spiliotis, Southern Hampshire University. No, I think the president's thirsty and hungry for a deal with China, and hopefully it has to do with the war in Iran, because they're the Islamic State's number one oil customer. Hey, Dean, I wanted to run this by you a little bit. You look at presidential administrations, you look at history pretty well. I mean that sincerely. You've taught at 4 universities, and I have my theories, and I'm trying to make this succinct because my mind's all over the place. Looking at the economy right now, what's going on, there's a lot up in the air. But when you look at the messaging that President Trump had the first time he ran against Hillary Clinton in 2016, and this time against Harris and Walz, the messaging of they're going to secure the border, the southwest border, very popular among independent and voters. We're going to secure that border. We're going to close it. We're going to deal with this inflow of millions and millions of undocumented people. We're going to start making stuff here again. We're going to stand up to China. We're going to make America the golden era. We're going to make stuff here. We're going to build our economy. It's going to be good for everyone. All these nice things it's a message. The other candidates, no offense, Kamala Harris and Hillary, they didn't have a message at all other than I'm here. I don't know how I'm going to be different. It's my turn, my time. There was no message there, and they couldn't answer what they wanted to do. But certainly President Trump, when he was running the second time or the first time, wasn't talking about going and getting involved with other countries, whether it's militarily or otherwise. We're going to go out, we're going to flex around the world, and we're going to, get involved. We're going to do these things. He wasn't viewed as kind of a warmonger at all, by the way. I don't think most people would say, no, Trump, last thing he wants to do is get us involved in things like Afghanistan, Iraq. Am I correct or wrong on this?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. We could we could do a whole hour on that someday. I think there are a couple of different things going on for President Trump, and it is true that when he ran this last time, he said, both he and J.D. Vance said that they would not get us into these foreign wars, particularly that they would not go into Iran. In fact, they argued that Kamala Harris would get us involved in Iran, and they would not. So they've got that video out there haunting them. But I think the bigger issue for President Trump, my guess is what's going on, and you often see this with presidents, is they get into their second term, They know their time is limited, and so they start thinking about legacy. And I think at some point along the way, I think in the wake of the successful bombing campaign last year, the initial bombing campaign in Iran, the kind of surgical removal of Maduro in Venezuela, the sense that he could make a big change in Cuba, overthrow the remnants of the Castro regime. At some point in the last couple of years, he sort of took his eye off the kind of long-term economic and immigration messages. And the immigration message, he's always gotten high marks on closing the border, but the sort of ICE activity in the interior of the country was much more controversial. So at some point, he kind of shifted away from making his legacy about borders and the economy, and now it's about kind of like leaving his mark on the world order in a way. He's got this idea that he can kind of his lasting legacy will be after all these presidents in the last 50 years who could not take on Iran, he was going to be the guy to finally put Iran on the straight and narrow. And it's just, unfortunately, does not seem to be happening for him right now. So, we talk about any president. I remember George W. Bush. Remember when he won in 2004, he was going to remake Social Security. And then he got completely sidetracked with continuing on with the surge in Iran and in Iraq and then Afghanistan. So, presidents start thinking about, how am I going to be remembered? How am I going to make my mark? And he's not the first president to be kind of enticed with the idea of being the sort of the big player who remakes the global order. And that's, as we know, that's just a very difficult thing to do. And he's I think he's kind of met his match here with his current situation.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I know the president's very good at distraction and, kind of getting people to focus on something else, including our adversaries when he wants to focus on this. But I'm looking at just the economy.
Yeah.
And I think there are warning signs. And I just look at our news this morning on the inflationary numbers, up to 3.8%, near a 4%, 0.6% increase last month, mainly due to the energy prices because of the war in Iran.
Yeah.
And I know one thing. I've been around a while, as you have, Dean. I've been around a while, and I know that three things about taxes, interest rates, and gas prices. And you know what they are, right?
Say taxes, interest rates, and gas prices.
Three things about them that are true.
What are they?
They go up real fast. They go up fast, and they go up real fast. And when they go up, they don't come down real fast.
That's true. Supposedly, they say gas goes up like a rocket and comes down like a feather. That's what they always say about gas prices. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, and we're seeing. I mean, for me, I think it's not just the gas. We're starting to see reports of like concert ticket sales are down, amusement park visits are down, all the kinds of sort of leisure activities that go hand in hand with driving around the country in the summer. All of that is starting to be affected by price. And I think, or if nothing else, a loss of confidence, even if the prices haven't gone up that much yet. And that's the bigger issue, I think, is this sort of almost like a contagion effect in terms of consumer confidence.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate it, Dean. Thank you. Dean Spilio of Southern Hampshire University. When we come back, we're going to get a check-in with Doug Tengden on the economic front. World Market Advisors on the rise in inflation. Temporary. Don't tell me it's transitory, please. Temporary or not. Back in a moment.
News Good morning, New Hampshire, from the New England College Studios. Now back to Jack Heath on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
All right, a reminder, if you want to watch the show Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday when I'm in Concord, you can on YouTube. We're streaming live with the Pulse. Everything with us is the Pulse of NH. The Pulse of NH. Our poll question up on X this morning at the Pulse of NH is, do you think the Trump administration, President Trump, will move to actually lower the federal gas tax, the tax on gas, the Fed piece? It's about 18 cents a gallon, I think, here. State tax is about almost 24 cents a gallon. The state has shown no signs of temporarily suspending that. Several other states have. I ironically said yesterday, if Doug Tengden is joining us, World Market Advisors, if you did both the federal and the state temporary suspension, gas would be down a whopping $4 a gallon. Doug, wow, what a bargain! Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Jack. How are you?
Good. So I don't want to predict where this goes. I asked you to be on. You're very gracious. You're our economist and World Market Advisors, Doug Tengden, World Market Advisors. Check it out. Inflation, that's what I heard this morning, up 0.6% last month, I think directly attributed to the war with Iran. 3.8%. At my UVM math, you went to Dartmouth. I'm a UVMer. No offense. Don't hold that against me, Doug. Although I did go to the Dartmouth Winter Carnival one year with our ski team buddies from our UVM. Inflation 3.8. Now UVM math will tell me that's closer to 4% than 3%. The cost of everything is going up, not coming down, Doug. Cost of everything is going up, not coming down. That concerns me because that's going to be like an anchor. It's like a boat that you want to take out with spring here and summer coming, but you're dragging a couple 100-pound anchor as you try to accelerate your outboard. That's what I feel is going to happen if we don't turn this around quickly.
Jack, we are living with the legacy of COVID. We are still living.
Oh, please stop mentioning that stupid word. It makes me sick to my stomach mentioning the word COVID.
Well, it was the massive government spending, which was in turn then it was federalized through the Federal Reserve.
Sure, I remember the whole thing. I said it. Hold on. I said at the time, it was like throwing gas and kindling on a wood fire, Janet Yellen. You are creating inflation that went up to 9%. But Doug, President Trump, the beginning of this term, what was inflation down to 2.8?
Well, I'm looking at the core inflation, and core inflation at the beginning of this term was about 3.1, 3.2, and now it's down to 2.8. The core has ticked up slightly. The broader measures of the core have been at 3%, and now we're running closer to 2%. But it's going to take a long time to get down there. And yes, we had a 3.8% month-over-month increase in energy prices. Gas prices. I filled up my truck and it cost me over $100, and that's a huge shock to the system.
Have you been out to dinner this week? Have you been out to dinner this week?
I had an appetizer, and my wife had the entree, and we were able to get out of there okay. But it is shocking, and it's not just gas prices that are affecting
food. And I'm Doug. I'm talking to people in the building industry here in New Hampshire, and they're having to adjust August delivery orders and budgets for homeowners. They're already stretched on their order for, let's just say, new cabinets. I don't know if you've done a kitchen over lately. Do you know new cabinets? Do you know what? Here's a good trivia question for you. Talking about things getting expensive. When you and I are from a generation of owning homes, families, and I say my smarter, prettier, better half. When you were doing over a home that you bought or you lived in, it used to be, Doug, that you do over a bathroom, even a master bathroom, with about a $10,000 to $12,000 budget to do over the bathroom. I'm talking countertop, shower, sink, right? About 12. Today, doubled. A kitchen, Doug. I don't know if you've done your kitchen over. Do you know how in a nice home like Hanover, New Hampshire, nothing up there is under $1.5 million? So if you're buying a home, do you know how much the cabinets in your kitchen, whether they're ordered from Canada or South Dakota, just the cabinets that you put your coffee mugs and dishes in and out. Do you know what nice cabinets can be in a kitchen today?
I really don't know, Jack. I haven't done a kitchen in a long time.
So I'm married to a designer, kitchen and bath. I hear this every day. So the prices in the last few months have gone up. A cabinet line for these couples like buying homes in Kittery, Maine, Agunquit, Portsmouth, the first thing they want to do is do over the kitchen and the bathroom. So a kitchen cabinets can be anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 cabinets.
That's crazy. Yeah, and you know what's going into that? It's not just the cost of the wood; it's the labor,
the installation. So what I'm hearing now, because of the price of gas and oil, some of the truck delivery companies are already telling the people in the design world and the installation world, for the customers on building and the builders, hey, you're going to have to surcharge because it's going to cost us more to truck this stuff from South Dakota to the work site.
And why is it coming from South Dakota rather than coming from Quebec? Why is it coming from South
Tariffs.
Dakota rather than Quebec?
Tariffs.
And I'm not a fan of the tariffs. I'm not a
no,
fan
but
of
let's
the,
just
on the
forget
restrictions
the
on
tariffs.
legal immigration.
Let's just go to South Dakota for a minute. Let's just say you're getting cabinets from Wisconsin or granite from, New Jersey. The point is the trucking costs are raising everything now.
Trucking costs are raising everything. I will say this, in the long run, having an Iran that it doesn't have a nuclear weapon that holds it over the rest of the world is going to be good for energy prices being lower, but there is a cost in the short run. Absolutely.
I know, and I'm all for that. But right now, let's face it, half of our attention's on the Strait of Hormuz. All right. So
yeah. When it comes to affordability, Jack, we are still living with a legacy of 6% core inflation, 9% inflation, and prices are not going to drop. We don't want them to drop, Jack. We don't want prices to fall dramatically because that could create a financial crisis.
That's stagflation. Yeah.
It's not. Well, we don't have stagflation. We just have regular old inflation. I don't see the stag yet. I just see that we have the legacy of inflation that has built up the prices, and people's incomes haven't caught up to it.
Do you see the R word anyway down the road if this continues?
Not at this point.
Okay.
I don't see any indications of a recession, Jack.
Okay. Last word. China's got a pretty big economy, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
President's on his way there with some CEOs. What's your economic take on this meeting? Because I'm hoping China can put the lever down on the who's left in the Iranian side to end this thing. But what do you think about this trip to China?
I think it's well timed. I think this is a good trip for the president to talk about trade issues, particularly with China. We both have areas of interest. We both have areas of mutual interest in terms of the world working normally. China needs us more than we need it, but we do need China. The world needs to work together. China needs our markets. China needs the world's markets, and China needs trade not to be hijacked by pirates through the various choke points.
All right, Doug Tegner, World Market Advisors. Thank you for the cameo. Great stuff. Thank you, Doug.
Jack, have a great rest of your week.
So tomorrow, as you know, or you should know, we're going 12 hours for our veterans. We start at 6 a.m. Mike Pomp will be in to do the first part of the hosting tomorrow. It's our 12-hour radiothon for veterans. Make 12 hours count. Make 12 hours count for veterans count. Vets count. Veterans count. Part of Easter Seals tomorrow. So that's our format. Till 6 p.m. We got a lot of great stuff tomorrow in terms of impactful, important stuff. And I'm going to say this today. If you're like a lot of people and you get distracted, you're busy, you don't have enough time to run your business, to get through the day. If you're a single parent, you're running around and you're looking at the car, everything's overwhelming. I get it. And then you got a virus to worry about off a cruise ship. I get it. Okay. I get it. But you know what? The medicinal thing sometimes to do is, what can I do for a few moments that might do some good and help someone I don't even know, like a military family who's serving? Less than 1%. I keep hammering this point home, but I don't think a lot of people realize this. Less, not one. Less, not one. Less than 1% serve 341 or how many million Americans, very entitled Americans, less than one. And we ask so much of those families time and time again. Very often it's the same family that serves over and over again generationally. Spouses, family, kids, they all serve. I think of the Hunt Kerrigan family, Colonel, retired in his Smarter, Prettier, Better Half, National Guard officer, and their two boys. It's been a family affair since the kids were born. They were serving here. They were living in Alaska, serving here, Army, Air Force, you name it. Family affair of service. Very commendable. But we don't have enough of these families, so let's take care of them. We were supposed to take care of them when they get out, and yet a lot of the services that they should get, it's not about entitlement, they earned it. not about entitlement. So tomorrow, take a break in your distracted day and call in. And our number, I'll start doing this a lot tomorrow, 844-650-VETS. That's 8387. We'll tell you tomorrow, but 844-650-8387. We're going to have volunteers here all day, thanks to our friends at Easter Seals and companies like Eversource and others who volunteer. And even 50 or 75 bucks right now will do a lot for a veteran and a care coordinator. It could be because they can't afford to buy the groceries. It could be fixing a vehicle. It could be, I know it doesn't go that far anymore, but it could be a couple $100 to, to get gas for a few weeks, help with something that the veteran is at a crossroads for. And that's what tomorrow's about. Make 12 hours count for Veterans Count. We come back, though, get an update from the Manchester VA because they won't be on normally tomorrow, but they're all supportive of the same thing. Our veterans back in a moment.
107.7. England College Studios. Now, back to Jack on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
Big day tomorrow for our veterans here. Make 12 hours count, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 12 straight hours commercial free as we raise awareness and advocacy for our veterans. And someone who's on that page every day, Kevin Forrest, he's the director for the VA here at home. And he checks in with us this morning instead of tomorrow because we'll be live in that. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, Jack. How are you this morning?
Doing okay, thanks. Until I have to put some gas in my truck this afternoon. Kevin, well, tell us what's going on. I know you have some, the voluntary services side, and a lot of folks may not be too familiar with that, but any updates? Take it away, Kevin.
We do. I will turn it over to Todd Hickerson here. He's our chief of Center for Development and Civic Engagement, also, managing all the volunteer services. Todd, just a wonderful patriot. He is a Navy veteran, former Navy fighter pilot, and he is on point for planning and leading our Memorial Day celebration, our event here. Certainly our most, I think, important event that we sponsor here every year at the Manchester VA to remember our nation's fallen. And so, Todd, I will let you speak to all our great listeners out there of what we have planned for Memorial Day. So,
thanks, Director Forrest, and thanks, Jack, for having us on. I appreciate all you do for our veterans.
I appreciate that. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a third-generation naval aviator. Grandfather started flying biplanes in the 1917, I think. My father was a Vietnam combat pilot, shot down, spent 5 years in the Hanoi Hilton.
Really?
And I followed in his footsteps to fly naval aircraft off aircraft carriers, Bosnia, Somalia, all over the world, really. And just to let you know about why I serve, I had a real sense of mission and purpose when I was flying off the aircraft carriers and, in supporting our nation. I went into the business world afterwards and actually kept looking for mission and purpose, but really missed my brothers and sisters in arms.
I love that. It's in your family. It's in your blood. What were you flying on and off those carriers?
A6 Intruders. I'm dating myself there, but anyone who remembers those, they were a medium attack aircraft, served all the way from Vietnam through the Persian Gulf, and then F-18 transition after that.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. It's pretty cool. Tell us about your role at the VA now.
So as Kevin mentioned, Center for Development and Civic Engagement, also known as Voluntary Services. And what we really do is recruit volunteers from the community to serve veterans throughout our medical center in support of not only the veterans, but the clinics as well. We also manage all donations that come from the community to VA programs that serve our veterans, and especially those for the veterans that are homeless or hungry.
Now, I imagine that more people, if they knew there was a door open to do that at the VA, to maybe spend a half day or a day a week, they might be semi-retired or they want to do something meaningful. I imagine more people may want to do that, and they're going to have questions, and I know you answer these. So let me ask you some of the questions I think they might have.
Yes,
for
sir.
Volunteer services to reach out to you. And of course, I want you to tell us in a moment how to connect with you. But do they have to be a veteran to volunteer at the VA?
No, although we do have a lot of veterans that serve, we have plenty of people that never served or just feel a real desire for that mission and purpose. You mentioned when you talked about the Veterans Count tomorrow. It's just a way to find that mission and purpose in serving veterans, and you don't have to be one to find that. Awesome. Here.
So would these, and Kevin could jump into, would these voluntary services, Todd, be something that I would do at the VA on the grounds there, drive my own vehicle there, park it in the public parking lot, or if I'm doing any volunteer transportation, do I use a VA vehicle, my own vehicle? How does that work?
Well, we are always looking for DAV drivers. The DAV donates vehicles to us, and then we have volunteers who are checked out, screened, and making sure they cover all the bases for their qualifications. And then they come in and drive veterans from their homes into their appointments if they don't have transportation. I love the fact that we pick them up at their homes in the morning, provide great customer service, bring them to their VA here in Manchester, get them to their appointments and back if they need to be pushed there in a wheelchair or escorted. And then we take them back home and provide the kind of care that they need, as well as the service that they have earned.
And how can people interested, Todd, in volunteering, best way to reach you directly to find out what's available, or maybe they can come in and have an informational talk with you, or how do you want people to follow up with you?
I'd love to do that. We are located at the VA Medical Center, obviously on the first floor, right by the elevators. If you come in and go to the information desk and just ask where we are, we're in room E103 to be specific. But you can also call us. We have the standard VA phone number, 603-624-4366. That's 603-624-4366. And our office has an extension of 201852. That's 201852. They can ask for me, the service line chief, or they can ask for our voluntary services specialist, Robin Romaniak.
Okay, so Todd, and tell folks your full name so they can ask for you.
Sure, it's Todd Hickerson. That's Hickerson with an H.
And if you meet with Todd, maybe he can tell you what it was like to come down on a F-18 on one of those carriers. Thank you, Todd. Hey, Kevin, while I have you, I want to talk about the Memorial Day sort of, the event coming up and the traditional, but also one of the things, Kevin, I learned yesterday for tomorrow, our Make 12 Hours Count, is for behavioral health and emotional type situations, if a veteran is having any kind of I don't like the word mental health because it gives a negative connotation, but anxiety, stress, depression episode, they have this 988 number that you've heard about, 988.
Yes, Jack, that's the number to lead into the Veterans Crisis Line. It's called 988 and press 1, and that is staffed 24/7 with dedicated folks to help our veterans.
You got ahead of me, Mr. Director. What I learned yesterday is veterans, when you call 988, press 1 after you get it. Just hit 1, and you're going to be directed specifically and specially to veteran service person who can support and help you. And that's what I wanted to hammer, and you made it clear. I didn't know that, Kevin.
Yep, it's we have probably 40 consults a month that come from the Veterans Crisis Line into our facility. So we have a direct handoff to help any veteran in need.
That's pretty cool because I think that's important. All right, Memorial Day. I don't want to rush it, but some people do for the warmer weather. Take it away, Kevin.
Well, we certainly have, an event, really appreciate all the work Todd and his team have done planning this, but it will be from 10:30 to noon right here at the Medical Center out front on the 25th on Memorial Day. And, it's a time for us to, certainly remember our nation's fallen. We recognize, all veterans, from New Hampshire that have passed over in the previous year, and engaged the entire medical center, and appreciate the governor and the mayor and the New Hampshire congressional delegation, all of them supporting our Memorial Day event. So it's just really, really, really special.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Todd.
Yes, sir.
All right. When we come back, top of the 10 o'clock, we'll get an update. We're also going to hear Mike Cody, New Hampshire Business Review, has an interesting perspective on some business stories. Top of the 11, Rory O'Neill, Alicia Preston-Xanthopoulos at 11:20. We got a packed show for you. And, there's a lot going on. It's hard to keep track of all this. President Trump will be on his way today to China. It's a very significant trip. And I mean that sincerely. It's a big trip. The timing of this is someone once said, far smarter than me, timing's everything. The timing on this is very critical and important because of what's going on with the war in Iran and the relationship China has with Tehran. And I'm hoping it can be leveraged for the better. I really am. There's also the economic part of this trip, and President Trump is bringing some of our biggest CEOs of the biggest tech companies, and I think Elon Musk is going with him, and some of the other CEOs. And it's been a long time. I think probably more than 11 years since President Trump has been to China, and this is significant given the history. This is the significant trip, and I'm hoping it can help leverage the end of the war in Iran. I don't think anything significant on a ceasefire on our end will be broken with the president in China. But remember, the president, when he travels, wherever he is, he has the capability to run things as if he was at the White House. So we'll see. But that's coming up. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Google. Play the Pulse of an H. Jack Heath. J-Dog on the boards. Back in a moment.